I have found, friends, one or two red flags that have come to my attention as I've been dating people. It is not easy when you're out there, trying to find out how someone deals with their money, because in our culture, it is kind of rude to ask people about their money, right? And you obviously don't want to be rude to somebody, and you are trying to get to know them on multiple levels. So you don't want to seem like it's all about the money, like you're not a gold digger, obviously, but you still want to know, do you have your stuff together? What's going on? Hopefully these tips will help you kind of get a little information and know what you're dealing with early on. I'm Melissa Ford. Welcome to Damsel of Success, where we talk about all things money. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and please hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video.
FYI, this is part 2. I ended up having a lot to say on this topic, so I split it into 2 videos. You can find part 1 in the link above or in the link in the description below. So let's get right into it.
And be sure to listen until the end, because I think the last one might surprise you a little bit. Red flag number 5, they hate money or judge other people who have money. We all have been out on that date with that pretentious douche canoe who's like, oh, you just know if they're that rich that they had to have done something terrible to get there. No! How much money someone has is not an indicator of whether they're good or bad. It just isn't. A lot of good people have a lot of money, a lot of bad people have a lot of money, and the fact that they have money doesn't say whether or not they're a good person or a bad person. To me, when someone has this belief, number one, it's a super limiting belief. So you better be ready for this person to, kind of poo-poo any sort of financial ambition that you have. But number two, it says that they might kind of romanticize that living lean as an artist sort of lifestyle and not place as much value on financial stability. And that's a deal breaker for me, but to each his own. If you also want to romanticize that kind of life, I'm not totally sure why you're watching this video, but you do you, boo. The third thing that I think it says about somebody is that they might feel insecure about their own financial situation. So they may be using that value judgment to try and justify whatever situation they're in and paint it in a better light to you. Whatever is motivating that kind of an attitude, for me, it's a real big red flag and a very easy, nah, brah. Super secret red flag number unnumbered. Someone who doesn't hit the like button when they're enjoying a YouTube video. Red flag number 6. They are overly focused on money. I might be guilty of doing, that thing on Parks and Rec that Ann Perkins did.
I'm not a big fan of group dinners where everybody splits the bill no matter what they get. I ordered a Serena Caesar salad, and that's all I'm paying for.
Definitely have been that person. And if you're watching this video, chances are good that you might be that person too. Frankly, I think it's cool when people do that, but I understand that not everybody's all about it. So keep an eye out for it. And this goes both ways, both with being too miserly about something and being too, showy with their money. So they might be saying here's how much my car costs, or here's how much I make a year, and kind of showing off in that way. It's definitely going to tell you that money is a high priority to them in terms of how they value their life. And it's going to give you a little bit of a clue about how they might be with their money. Someone who is trying to impress you with how much they make or how fancy their car is or what neighborhood they live in, they're going to continue to do that with other people throughout their life too. And someone who is a little bit possibly overly miserly, who's counting every single penny, chances are that when you go to spend money, they're going to have that same focus on what your spending is going to be as well. And so the idea here isn't necessarily that either of those things are bad, but that you find somebody that is a good match for you. If you think saving money is fun and it is nice to have an accountability partner there and somebody who's looking for the best deal just like you are, well, then that person is a great fit. it. And if you value the finer things in life and want to be with somebody who's really career oriented and wants to be making all that money with their career, well, then maybe someone who has that kind of a focus is a good match for you too. Just be aware that they're absolutely telling you about their money personality when they talk about money. Financial red flag number 7. They are unethical when it comes to money. The ways that you can tell this early on in dating are a little bit more difficult, so you gotta keep your ears open. But I think there are a handful of things that if they're talking about them, it shows that they're not ethical with money. One of them is like bragging about skipping out on expenses that they should have paid. So if they're telling you a story about a vacation with their friends that went bad and they think it was somebody else's fault, and so they were like, nah, I'm not gonna pay for that, and just left, to me, that is not fulfilling your financial obligations. And so it would be an indicator that they're a little bit unethical with money. The same goes for stealing something, even on a prank or a dare to be funny. I don't think that's funny. I think you're stealing. I think it's a crime. So, that's being unethical with money. Or if you happen to notice that every time you go out to a group dinner with this person, the bill is always a little bit short. Like somehow we didn't do the math right and we all have to pitch in more money. Maybe they're shorting the group and maybe they think that's okay to put that responsibility on others. To me, that's super unethical. So pay really close attention to those things, because if your date wants you to dine and dash, that's a sign to me that they are unethical with money, and who knows what kind of trouble they could get into. You might be signing yourself up to marry the next Madoff. Red flag number 8. They are ungrateful or entitled when it comes to money. When you're in the early stages of dating somebody, this might show itself by doing a couple things. The first is not saying thank you if you treat them to something or give them a gift. If they're not expressing their thanks to you, that might be a little bit of an entitled attitude. Another way is if you hear them criticizing the generosity of others. So if maybe they open up a birthday card from grandma and shake the envelope and see there's no check that falls out, and they seem a little disappointed or irritated by that, you might be dealing with somebody who's got a little bit of an entitlement issue around money, or at the very least isn't grateful for what people give them. And I don't know about you, but that's just not the kind of attitude I want to be around. I don't expect to be, praised for giving gifts or anything like that, but I definitely say thank you when someone gives a gift to me, and I expect a thank you in return. I think that's just common decency. So make sure that the person that you're dating gives the proper amount of respect to acts of generosity. Okay, we are on to our final tip, tip number 9. And like I said, this one might surprise you a little bit. And this one is when someone gives you a gift early on in your relationship, particularly one that's not related to a special occasion. Now, it's a nice gesture to bring somebody flowers on a first date, or, get them dinner for their birthday if it happens to be going on when, you're early in your dating. But what I'm talking about is giving a present. And I hope you don't think this is the opposite of the advice that I just gave you for red flag number 8. I'm not saying not to be thankful for that, or to feel like you're entitled to that gift, or to disrespect that gift in any way. What I am saying, though, is that you need to pay attention to whether that gift is in alignment with, number 1, the stage you are at in your relationship, and number 2, with the income that you think that they have. Now, that is a judgment, and I know that sounds super judgmental. So I'm going to give you an example of this to be a little bit more clear, and hopefully you guys don't think I'm a total. So I once dated a woman who, on our second date, brought me a gift that was worth, I'm going to say, somewhere around $40. It was so sweet. It was such a generous move on her part. But in the back of my mind, I was doing a calculation. And that was because I felt like it was out of her means to spend that kind of money on me. And like I said, I don't want to sound like I was ungrateful in any way, but I happen to know that this woman was struggling financially and had a lot of other financial obligations that she needed to attend to. And so the fact that she spent that much money on me on date number 2, it was a red flag for me because it made me think that she just wasn't wise with her money choices. Number 1, she was trying to do something nice for me, which was very sweet. But number 2, it might have indicated, just like, when we were talking about over tipping by a lot, that she was a little bit insecure, particularly around her financial situation, and so wanted to prove to me her value through gift giving. And it is, recognized as one of the love languages, and I don't have any problem with that, as long as it's both at an appropriate occasion or stage of your relationship and an appropriate amount that is within their means to spend. I didn't think it was for her, and so I canceled date number 3. And I think if somebody is giving you too large of gifts for their means or too early on in your relationship, you should probably cancel the next date with them too. So all of these financial red flags really just boil down to one thing, and that is to pay attention. Pay attention to how people talk about their money, what they do with their own money, what they say about other people's money, because all of those things are little signs that are going to tell you about them without you having to have an uncomfortable conversation early on in your dating when it's too early to politely ask what someone's credit score is. I kind of feel like that should be on your dating profile, but that's just me. So what are some of your worst stories when it comes to money and dating? I would love to hear these. They're some of my favorite things. Have you been out on a date where something weird happened with money? Were you in a long-term relationship where something bad happened with money that taught you a lesson? Please tell me. Please tell me your funniest, your weirdest stories around money and dating. Put them in the comments below. Please, please, please just do it because I love these things. They make me laugh so hard. And if you guys like these tips, I actually have a few more that I would love to share with you. So let me know if you want me to do a second video about this. It was super fun to put together and I'd love to do another one if it's interesting to you guys. And if you're looking to do some future planning before your special someone comes along, then I hope you take a look at my retirement calculator, which I will link in the description below. It is completely free, and it's just a tool that I like to provide to you to help you kind of see if you are on track to retire, when you want to retire, and it kind of also helps you see what your savings goals should be to make it happen if you're not. So take a look at it, download it. Like I said, totally free, and link is in the description below. That's all I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful week. I will see you next week. Bye for now.